Hello and welcome to my video series. In this series, we discuss about some NEET concepts that are asked in the NEET examination. And today, we are going to discuss about a chemistry concept that's like why the molarity it changes with the temperature, but the molality it doesn't change with the temperature. Both this molarity and the molarity, both this molarity and this molality are the concentration terms. And the molarity it is like the temperature dependent, and this molality it's temperature independent. Now we will try to learn that how the temperature affects only the molarity, not the molality. Fine. सो द थिंग्स दैट जब भी आप टेम्परेचर बढ़ाओगे, ये तुम लोगों ने लाइक पढ़ा भी होगा, जब भी आप टेम्परेचर बढ़ाओगे किसी चीज़ का, फाइन, किसी सोल्यूशन का, फॉर एग्जांपल सोल्यूशन एक्सपेंड होगा, पर ये क्या सब लाइक कंसंट्रेशन टर्म चेंज होते हैं, लाइक आंसर अगर तुम लोगों ने गलत दिया वहाँ पर तो तुम्हारा नंबर गया वहाँ पे, फाइन. सो लेट्स मूव इनटू द वीडियो. फर्स्ट वी विल लाइक डिस्कस दीज टर्म्स इंडिविजुअली. विल फर्स्ट टॉक अबाउट दिस मोलैरिटी. फाइन, this molarity. If we represent this molarity, it's a concentration term, and we represent this molarity with a capital M, and it's always equal to the number of moles upon volume of a solution in liters. Volume of solution in liters. Fine. So as you look, this molarity capital M, it's equal to N divided by the volume of the solution in liters. So this means that this molarity it's temperature dependent. Fine. It's sorry, it depends upon the volume. Okay. And whenever anything it depends upon the volume, it means volume is dependent itself on the temperature. So basically, this molarity it's dependent on this volume, and the volume itself is dependent on the temperature. So net this molarity it's dependent on this temperature also. Fine. And if we look now into the molality, this molality, we represent this molality. It's another concentration term. We represent this molality with a small m, and it's always equal to the number of moles upon mass of solvent in kgs. Mass of solvent in kgs. If you look in this, you see that this molality it's not dependent upon the volume, but it's dependent upon the mass. It depends upon the mass. This molality it depends upon the mass. And you must be knowing that you have studied in the physics. This mass it's constant. Mass is constant. It can neither be created nor it can be destroyed. And this mass, if you like take a mass and mass of any element and you try to heat it, fine. So whether you increase the temperature, whether you decrease the temperature, the mass will remain the constant. Mass never changes. This means that this molality it's dependent upon the mass, but this mass like itself independent on the temperature. It remains constant. It doesn't change with the temperature. So in general, this molality will also be independent of the temperature. Independent of temperature. Fine. So this was about the molarity and the molality. Fine. So let's move into the core idea that we will discuss about the main difference between these two terms, that's molarity and molality, so that your concept will be like clear. So basically, I discussed the two terms with you. First one was the molarity, and another is the molality. I told you that this molarity, it depends upon volume. As you look from this very representation, this molarity, it depends upon the volume. Fine. And this molality, it depends upon the mass. Fine. And if we look at the temperature effect on the volume, the temperature has got an ability that whenever you try to increase the temperature, it expands the volume. Fine. So this temperature, it will change the volume. And if we talk about the temperature effect on the mass, it's like there will be no change. Sorry, there will be no change. As mass is constant, it never changes. Fine. So what happens like when the temperature increases? So whenever the temperature increases, what happens if there's a solution, okay, and you are like increasing the temperature of the solution? So you are basically what, increasing the temperature. And whenever you are trying to like increase the temperature, what happens? The liquid it starts expanding. This liquid it starts expanding. So whenever the liquid is expanding, its volume is changing. Fine. Its volume keeps changing. So volume of the solution it increases. Fine. So what happens if we look now impact of this on molarity? As we know that the molarity it was equal to number of moles upon the volume of solution. And in this thing, I told you that this volume is changed like with respect to the temperature. So this molality it will change with respect to the temperature also. Fine. So if we look at the impact on the molality, sorry, this molality, we like represented this molality with small m, and we said that it was equal to the number of moles upon mass of solvent in kgs. Fine. So mass, I already told you that it's independent and it's constant. So mass is constant. Okay. So if you try to increase or decrease the temperature, it will like put no impact on the mass of the solution. So it directly will put no impact on the molality also, because this molality it's dependent upon the mass, and this mass it's a constant thing. And it's a constant thing. It means that it will never change with respect to the temperature. So molality itself will not change with respect to temperature. With respect to the temperature. Now, if we look like a physics connection in this, so you must have studied in your class 11th from the thermal physics that whenever the thermal expansion occurs, it affects only the volume of the solution. It only affects volume, not the mass. So basically, if this is any substance, you are increasing its temperature. Fine. So what will happen? This substance, its only volume will be expanded. Mass will be constant. तुम लोगों ने 2 kg इसमें डाला था, 2 kg निकलेगा टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज करने के बाद. तुम लोगों ने 3 kg का डाला था, 3 kg मिलेगा टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज होने के बाद. बट व्हाट हैपेंस, दिस वॉल्यूम कीप्स एक्सपैंडिंग. फाइन. फाइन. यहाँ तक मटेरियल था, फाइन, तुमने इसको हीट किया, आफ्टर हीट इट विल एक्सपैंड टू दिस लेवल. बट व्हाट विल हैपन, द मास विल रिमेन कांस्टेंट, ओनली वॉल्यूम विल कीप चेंजिंग. फाइन. सो द वॉल्यूम बेस्ड टर्म्स, एंड नाउ ऑल द टर्म्स, नाउ ऑल द कंसंट्रेशन टर्म्स, फाइन, जितनी भी कंसंट्रेशन टर्म्स है, ऑल द कंसंट्रेशन टर्म्स, फाइन, विच आर वॉल्यूम बेस्ड, like your molarity, which was like n by volume of solution. JC density, that's mass upon the volume. So these are some concentration terms which are dependent upon the volume. So they will keep changing with respect to the temperature. And all the concentration terms, all concentration terms which are mass dependent, there will be no effect of temperature on that, sorry, no effect of temperature. Fine. So if we look a neat rapid fire points, some of the neat rapid fire points, you will remember that the molarity, it decreases when the temperature increases. Fine. Similarly, molality, it's constant with temperature. Fine. Also, you will remember that this density, it also changes with the temperature, because density is a volume dependent concentration term, so it also changes with respect to the temperature. Fine. And this molality, it's preferred in colligative properties. Preferred in colligative properties, as it is mass dependent property. Fine. So one line revision, you will remember that molarity, it changed because the volume changed with the temperature, while the molality, it stays constant because mass never changed. So this was all about it. Physics, जो कि physical chemistry है, like इसको आप feel करो, रटना इसको बंद करो. Fine. So follow for more like near like these concepts. Thank you for watching it.